Thanks for joining us this morning. Hello, I'm Lee Ji-eun in Seoul. We have a lot on our plate this morning. Let's first take a look at some of today's highlights. Evolving or devolving? It's been 50 years since Korea and Japan established political ties, but relations are getting rocky also on the economic front. Korea's stock markets are set to see some dramatic changes next month. All that are aimed at adding vigor to the country's bourses. President Park Geun-hye has pressed the head of the Japan-led Asian Development Bank for his partnership in managing an anticipated surge in infrastructure projects in Northeast Asia. Meeting with Takehiko Nakao at the presidential office on Tuesday, President Park underlined that mutual cooperation was needed with Seoul and the China-led Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, which Tokyo has chosen not to join. The meeting marked the first time in 12 years a Korean president has met with the ADB leader, suggesting that the Park administration is aiming to separate political issues from economic ones. Also on Tuesday, Seoul agreed to supply ADB $600 million in soft loans for development projects in Asia. The Korean government has treated U.S. private equity firm Lone Star in a fair and equitable way without discrimination and in line with international law. That was the statement Seoul released on Tuesday as the first round of hearings in the multi-billion-dollar case wrapped up in Washington past Saturday. In Korea's first investor-state dispute case, Lone Star is suing Seoul for nearly $4.7 billion, alleging that its hand was forced to pay unfair taxes and sell off its stake in Korea Exchange Bank at a loss in 2012. The second round of hearings is set to resume on June 29th. Korea's stock market will be seeing some big changes from mid-June. Market operator Korea Exchange says it will loosen up certain restrictions to invigorate the market and attract more investment. Our Lee Ji-young tells us more.
The price band on daily stock prices at Korea's two main bourses, the Kospi and Kosdaq, will be doubled to allow a greater range of movement of up to 30% starting June 15th. This is the first expansion of the daily price band since it was set at 15% back in 1998. Korea Exchange says it aims to reduce risks of speculative trading and boost transactions.
It will be harder for investors to engage in unfair acts, such as pushing stock prices up or down.
The move comes as part of the government's efforts to draw in more investment and invigorate the market. Korea Exchange says the expansion of the daily cap falls in line with more advanced markets, which provide investors with greater autonomy. Most advanced markets, including the US and the UK, do not limit price fluctuations for stocks listed. But bourses in Japan and China have a more strict price band regulation of an average 22% and 10% respectively. Korea Exchange predicts that the expanded band will add more volatility to the market in the short run. In order to more effectively cut off rapid changes in stock prices, the bourse operator says it will introduce more detailed circuit breakers that are implemented in stages. Currently, if indexes fall by 10% and maintain that level for more than a minute, trade is halted for 20 minutes. The bourse operator says they will enhance monitoring for a month after introducing the new price band. Analysts say although the move may be welcomed by investors, the measure will have limited effects. Lee Ju-young, Business Daily.
You'll recognize Samgyeopsal as one of Korea's favorite barbecue dishes. But bad news for fans, the price of pork is rising to the highest level seen in nearly 3.5 years. And with demand booming, it's not expected to level off anytime soon. Our Eunice Kim has the story.
Whether by land or by water, a go-to barbecue dish when Koreans plan an outing is undoubtedly Samgyeopsal. Aside from the good sizzle on a grill, the delicate and juicy pork belly is, by popular myth, also said to help clear out the yellow dust that enters the body from the great outdoors. And as the weather gets warmer, the price of Samgyeopsal is heating up too. At one major mart, the selling price for 100 grams of the meat packed with vitamin B was $2,341, roughly $2.13, a jump of 13.6% since March. The reason for the swell? The wholesale price of pork has plumped up. It's at $5.34 per kilogram this month, according to a livestock quality assessment agency, which is the highest in 3 years and 5 months. While the demand for Samgyeopsal has gone up with the warmer weather, the supply has gone down, the aftermath of last year's bout with foot and mouth disease. Industry sources project the price of pork will stabilize as summer wraps up sometime after September. Eunice Kim, Business Daily.
This year marks 50 years of diplomatic ties between Korea and Japan, but due to ongoing historical disputes, bilateral relations have been deteriorating. This, alongside changes in Japan's domestic economy, are also having an impact on the economic front. Today, we talk about where the two countries stand in economic cooperation and whether there's room for improvement.
There is no question that Japan is one of Korea's major economic partners. It's Korea's third largest trading partner, and vice versa. Japan used to be Korea's distinct #1 importer, with its trade volume jumping around 430 times since the two countries established normalized diplomatic ties. But things are going downhill. Bilateral trade dropped by almost 14% in the first quarter this year to $18.4 billion, down from $21.4 billion in the same period last year. And 2014 marked the third consecutive year that Korea and Japan posted a negative bilateral trade growth. Tourism has also taken a hit, with the number of Japanese tourists to Korea falling over the past 2 years. Cultural exchange has dropped too. On top of that, their currency swap came to an end earlier this year after reaching $70 billion in 2012. Experts say this has all resulted from a combination of stronger ties with China, structural changes under the Abe administration that led to a weakening of the Japanese yen, and of course, strained Korea-Japan relations due to historical disputes, which worsened since Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe took office. Nevertheless, there seems to be consensus from both countries that despite icy conditions, the economic partnership must go on and should be strengthened.
And to tell us more about this, our Kwon So-hwa joining us this morning. Good morning.
Morning, Jiyoon.
So it looks like on the political front, both countries, things remain pretty frosty for both countries, but economically, they're still in need of each other.
And Jiyoon, there is a saying, economics, politics, and personalities are inseparable. But maybe they do need separation at times, and especially in the case of Korea and Japan. There are calls to treat political and economic issues separately. And some steps towards progress in the economic realm could be seen at the latest rounds of ministerial meetings. If we take a look at the calendar here, on May 11th, Korea and Japan's tourism ministers got the chance to meet. And last weekend, there was the first finance ministers meeting in 2.5 years in Tokyo. And the first trade ministers meeting took place on the sidelines of the APEC meeting in the Philippines. Now, Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan and his Japanese counterpart Taro Asu issued a joint statement which included cooperation on their macroeconomy, fiscal, and other policies.
It will be very helpful in sharing each other's financial experience and using them for future policies.
The meeting was arranged to find an opportunity for economic issues to be solved separately from historical issues.
Now, while analysts say Choi tried to avoid sensitive issues, it was a different story for the trade ministers. Korea's trade minister Yoon Sang-jik expressed his regret over Japan's complaint to the World Trade Organization on Korea's import ban of some Japanese marine products. Now, experts say this issue could create some problems down the line.
Japan has to revive the economy in regions affected by the nuclear disaster. One of Japan's new growth strategies is to expand its marine and agriculture exports. They will continue to try to open up the market. But as there are even some Japanese avoiding locally caught fish, from Korea's stance, it's going to be difficult to liberalize imports. This issue will likely go on and on.
All right, so are we saying that this could have an impact on the free trade agreements between the two countries?
It could. And there are actually quite a lot of those trade pacts under discussion.
FTA or EPA between Korea and Japan, that negotiation started, I think, almost 10 years ago. But it was suspended long time. And in the meantime, the FTA between China and Korea was agreed upon in February. And now, therefore, most important thing for us is to expedite and restart the negotiation, FTA, EPA between Japan and Korea.
Korea and Japan may also be part of a possible RCEP, or Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
It's time for us to participate in comprehensive trade pacts such as the TPP. When thinking about Korea-Japan FTA negotiations, we must take the TPP into consideration too, as Japan is part of it.
Well, so from what I know, Korea made a lot of efforts to reach out and in regions like the Middle East and South America. But why does Japan remain as such an important partner to Korea still?
Well, June, for one, we are very close together geographically, and then we've got a lot of similarities. For example, socio-economic similarities that is, such as the aging population. Now, there is a lot of things the two countries can mutually learn from each other in terms of policies. And of course, we cannot leave out the historical factor. And when I reported earlier on the 47th Korea-Japan Business Conference earlier this month, many business leaders firmly believed that actively boosting economic ties would naturally lead to the easing of tensions.
All right, well, let's hope to see some progress made on that front. Thank you for coming in today, Soa.
Anytime.
All right, that brings us to the end of today's edition of Business Daily. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, same place. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.